Hey everyone, this is chapter 16, I believe, of Morgan Housel's book, The Psychology of Money. And this one is called You and Me. And it's about bubbles. So, bubbles are like recently we've had the bubbles with Bitcoin, or the bubbles with, there's another one as well. Price shoots up really, really fast, everyone gets involved, and then the price goes poof, everyone loses out massively. So the two bubbles that Morgan talks about in The Psychology of Money, one was the dot-com bubble that wiped $2 trillion of wealth, wiped it out. Not wealth as in, what your holdings are worth, so people have invested so much and it goes up to this much and they lose that much. When the bubble bursts, everyone loses their money. $8 trillion in the housing market bubble. A huge, enormous amounts of money. So bubbles affect people in a way that's ruinous for a lot of them. They'll never recover from that financially. So what causes bubbles? Why do people buy into things which really seem worthless? That's what the article's about. Excuse my voice, I lost it a couple of days ago, it's back. So hopefully this is making sense and I don't sound too awful, but why do people make these decisions that seem crazy? Well, in chapter 1 of Psychology of Money, nobody's crazy. Remember, people make decisions that seem to make sense when they make those decisions. And in hindsight, they're probably thinking, oh my God, what was I thinking? Because there are lots of causes to bubbles. And the most often given one is, bubbles are created by human greed, or people got greedy, this and that, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, but everyone's greedy, so you can't blame greed, If you see an opportunity to make a lot of money really quickly, most people will take it, and you might say, oh, there's no such thing as easy money. That's what investment's all about, getting in and making money without doing anything apart from risking money. Unfortunately, bubbles come along and everyone loses a ton of money. So the answer that human greed is the answer behind all bubbles is kind of, it doesn't really answer the question properly. So Morgan Housel has a better explanation, an explanation based on psychology. All right, it's always psychology. When a bubble happens, there's lots of reasons for it. It's like a war, he says, or the rise and fall of a political party. Nobody wants to admit that what they bought, they got a bad price for. Nobody wants to admit that their assets are overvalued. So rather than look at it and rationally think, oh, why did that happen? Most people are like, well, it wasn't my fault. Everyone else was paying that much, so that's what I paid. That's what the market price was. The problem is that there's this idea in classical economics that there's a correct price to pay for everything. There's one price that is correct. And people like Benjamin Graham would have said, oh, that depends on income and growth projections and everything. But let's not forget that Benjamin Graham's models and rules for investing changed several times. And they changed because the ones he'd come up with no longer worked. So what works changes over time. More importantly, what works depends on what you want to achieve. What are your rules? What are your goals? What are your horizons? And this matters because this is where the psychology comes into play, and nobody cares, or nobody's stupid. Well, actually, too many people are. That's the problem. You're stupid if you think that there's a right price to pay for this for everybody. This could be shares in BIC, the pen maker, or this could be shares in Microsoft or whatever. Not all investors are the same. Not all investors have the same goals. Not all investors have the same rules. And most importantly, not all investors have the same time horizons. This is important because this answers where bubbles come from. So let's look at two different types of investors. They're not even all investors. Some of them are traders, day traders, right? So let's say you're a long-term investor who's looking to buy something and hold it for 5 to 10 years. And let's say that is Cisco stock. Cisco stock in 1999 increased by 300% and went up to $60. Now, why do prices shoot up like this? Is that because fundamentally Cisco was the greatest company on earth and blah, 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 it should have been bullshit? If those valuations were correct, then within a few more years, Cisco would have been worth more than the whole US economy. which is obviously not right. Okay, so Cisco was worth what it was because bubbles are created according to Morgan Housel and according to, I call it group psychology. This, I think it's got a very good point. When the people who don't care what the price is are buying. Why wouldn't you care what the price is? These people are short-term traders, day traders, for example. If you're a long-term investor and buying Cisco seems like a good idea because, $60 and God, you must be crazy. But look, thousands of people are paying $60 for it. They must know something I don't. No, they don't. They don't know the same as you don't know. And what they don't know is that the reason the prices are shooting up like that is because day traders are getting in. They don't care if the Cisco systems is $6, $60, $600. It makes no difference. All they care about is that it moves in the right direction. Yeah, they'll buy it. Thousands of them will buy it. Millions of them maybe will buy it, regardless of the price, because all they want to do is before the market closes, sell it. And they might make a point or they might make 100 points, so the price is irrelevant. They've made their profit. Then what happens is when people see an opportunity to make money, they get seduced by it. They get hypnotized by it. So people think, wow, look at all these people buying Cisco. Oh my God, it's $60. Oh my God, it's $70. Who cares? They made money. I'm going to buy it too. I'm going to buy it too. And then all these long-term investors thinking, oh, all these people paying $60, they must know something I don't. No, they don't. Yeah? You have to know your rules. If you're a long-term investor and paying $60 for Cisco, I'm sorry to beat Cisco systems to death, it's just an example it uses in it. It's absolutely bonkers. You're stupid if you do it. But if you're a day trader and Cisco keeps going up, and you think it will go up by the end of the day, it doesn't matter what you pay, $6, $6,000, you're going to make money. The problem is there's two people on the same playing field playing by different rules. They're going to run into somebody. They're going to run into each other. Somebody's going to get hurt. All right? And that's what creates bubbles. When the majority of the price, so when the price is set by people who have a short-term view, who don't really care what the price is long-term, and the people who are in it for long-term take cues from them, they get fucked. They get screwed. So a long-term investor buys it at $60 or $100, when actually it's probably worth to them, according to their rules, not worth because of universal laws of investing and rules. The rules are irrelevant. The rules are made up. What matters is human psychology. Who's buying it? Why are they buying it? What's the time horizon? Know your time horizon. They get screwed because once the day traders are making up the majority of the buyers and setting the price, they've got momentum. Everyone else is piling in. It's quick money, right? Easy money. Woohoo! Let's get some easy money. And they all sell at the end of the day. Whoosh, goes the price. Whoosh, go all the money of the long-term investors. It doesn't sound like someone going down the toilet, doesn't it? Whoosh, that's what's happening to their money. So they get screwed. That's what happened. That's talking about stocks. So when we were talking about the housing market, right? People buying houses for the long term to live in or whatever. People buying houses because they think it's a good investment. Going back to Cisco, guess what? The dot-com bubble, not just Cisco, the dot-com bubble coincided with record daily trading volumes. Trading, not investing volumes. So people buying and selling. Even the mutual funds, they had an annual turnover of 800%. Basically means that, no, I can't remember the percentage, 120%. It would be, mathematically. So they held stocks on average for 8 months. That's hardly long term, is it? All right. Housing market. Flippers. People who buy a property don't care what the price is. I mean, does it make sense to buy a little property with 2 bedrooms for $700,000 to raise your family? No. Does it make sense to buy it for $700,000, with as much debt as you can get a hold of? If you know you can sell it in a month for $750,000, of course it makes sense. Which is what the flippers were doing. So between 2000 and 2004, in 2000, properties flipped were 20,000. By 2004, they were 100,000. So flipping, buying, regardless of the price, knowing you can sell and make a profit, increased massively. And then since then, after the dot-com bubble crashed, it's fallen off to about 40,000. But that's what's going on. So if you don't want to get screwed, know your rules, know your time horizon. Do not take cues from other people because you don't know the game they're playing. Don't emulate other people because you can't get in their head. You can't see what they're doing. Example he uses in the chapter. Up-and-coming lawyer in New York goes and spends $1,000. I don't know if he says 1,000 or 500. It makes no difference. $1,000 on a suit because wearing that suit might help his career. He's a writer at Morgan Housel. If he goes and spends £1,000 on a suit, he may as well just have wiped his arse with £1,000 because the suit's not going to do him any good unless it makes him feel really good. But you mustn't take cues from people playing different games. The rules are different. You play by the wrong rules, you're going to get screwed. Apologies if I seemed a bit over enthusiastic there. I haven't done one of these reviews for a good time. I think it's a great chapter. I think it's a really good book. Morgan Housel, The Psychology of Money. That was chapter 16, You and Me. And what the author has actually done, what Morgan Housel has actually done, is written out many years ago when he started investing, his view of investment and the rules he plays by. So he doesn't get distracted, or so he says, by all the craziness in the market. He's playing his game. He's not playing the game of other people. He's not taking cues for them. And I assume, and we'll get to it later in the book, that he does quite well out of that. So there you go. Hope you enjoyed that. And chapter 17 coming next.